For some context, we will be discussing the quote by Stuart Porter, which says that ethics is not really different between what you have a right to do and what is right to do. Now, in my personal opinion, I think that Stuart Porter here is asking us to know the differences between actions or decisions that are legally permissible and then socially accepted, and then actions or decisions that are informed by our personal values and then our moral principles. Now, I think it's asking us to weigh our options in these instances because actions or decisions that may be legally permitted or legally permissible may not necessarily be morally commended, in a sense that an action which you have a right to take or is legally allowed may not be in the right frame, or may not be right for people, or may not be right, or the principles of that actions may not be good for other people. So relating it to PR and marketing, marketers and then organizations have the right to promote their products or promote their services, but in the way or the process in which they do so may not be the right thing to do. Now, there may be ads which may make false claims to their target audience, to their consumers, or to their potential customers. Now, this is not right to do because it may bring harm to the people.
This is a simple yet profound statement. Yes, because knowing the difference between what you have the right to do and what is right to do. Well, for me, I think that Porter Stewart is trying to tell us that in as much as you have the power, the authority, or let me say you have the right, so you are allowed to do certain things, doesn't necessarily make it right, doesn't necessarily make it the right thing to do.
Exactly.
You must think about whatever you are doing, the people involved. If you must also think about the aftermath, the consequences. Yes. Okay, I have the right to say whatever I want to say because after all, it's my freedom to talk. But I also have to put certain things in place, like what I'm saying. Is it to harm? Is it to make somebody feel better? Or is it to tarnish somebody's reputation? So, in as much as you have the right to do certain things, nobody's going to stop you from talking. I think you should be mindful of what you do, the things you say. Now, relating it to PR and marketing, as she earlier stated, marketing, where people sometimes spin certain things like PR, people try to get people to think the way they're thinking. So they might do certain things which are not even right, just to get people to buy the idea, just to get people to purchase, just to get people to do whatever they want them to do, to think a certain way. So they just come up with anything, like any ad which ends you in true, or which are manipulative enough to get people to do things that are not right. Let's say I come up with an ad where I'm like, oh, I just sell this cream, this facial cream, and if you're fighting with acne, in less than 3 days, everything's going to clear off. You know perfectly well what you're saying is not true. It's unethical, because you should know that. In as much as I have the right to come out there, to advertise, to show people that this is what it does, ask yourself, is it the right thing to do? Because, yes, I think I just like that statement. It's a profound statement, as I said earlier. Because, yes, you have the right to do certain things, but ask yourself, well, are you okay? What are the consequences? And the people around, how are they going to feel at the end of the day? Because you can't tell me that this helps you get rid of blah 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 when you know perfect, or you yourself, if never even used it before. It makes no sense, honestly. So yeah, that's my opinion.
I was just thinking of something.
Okay, what was it?
A cosmetic organization comes to you,
Okay.
because you're a social media influencer, and tells you, I'm going to pay you 10,000 Ghana cedis just to persuade your followers on your social media platform to buy a shower gel. Unfortunately, the shower gel contains harsh chemicals when used on the bodies, causes irritation, or can lead to health implications.
Okay.
Thinking about 10,000 Ghana cedis, I don't know. What would you do?
10,000 Ghana cedis. Like 10,000 Ghana cedis. What? Let me adjust my quote. That's a life changer. 10,000. But unfortunately, as a PR practitioner and I'm an ethical person, integrity is very important, and also the well-being of my consumers and also the audience of the organization is essential. Of course, 10,000 Ghana cedis, I'm going to spend it, but how long? When you're going to use the product, they're going to realize that I deceived them, and it's not a good thing. Yeah.
That's so sad. Imagine 10,000 in your bank account. Take this small thing. Are you right? Like your that is patrolling so street like
Means fun. 10,000.
agents of achievements.
Yeah.
Well, this brings us to Potter Stewart's quote on ethics, which is knowing the difference between what you have a right to do and what is right to do.
Okay, so with the scenario my colleague gave earlier, I could take that money. I have that right. There is no legal law against it. But the question is it the right thing to do? Choosing money over integrity? Choosing money over the health of my consumers? That is very worrying. So you have to choose the right thing, and that's doing the right thing, not to take the money, but rather integrity and the well-being of consumers.
With regards to Forte's quote, what do you think the quote is trying to tell us?
So ethics focuses on transparency, truthfulness, and fairness. The right approach prioritizes audiences' perception to build sustainable relationship over short-term gains to avoid manipulative messaging. What do you think about the quotes?
So in general, what he's talking about is having the right to do something. It does not necessarily mean that what you are doing is right. You must consider the impact of whatever they are saying on the individual and do what is fair.
In all, what you're trying to talk about is each and every one in an organization needs to be transparent and ethical in their doings.
Welcome to the Trust Factor. PR and marketing shape narratives. They also define how we see brands, people, and movements. But here lies the challenge. Public trust is wearing thin.
We are in an era where ads mostly overpromise. They don't give us the exact thing they say they do. They exaggerate. And mostly, brands' messages or corporate messages are often seen as rehearsed and being scripted, leaving people skeptical. They don't even know what to believe anymore. And as PR practitioners and marketers, what role do you play in this illusion of trust?
How often do you believe what you see in a press release, a commercial, or a viral campaign?
Today, we are diving into the power and responsibility that comes with communication and why ethics is more than just a checkbox.
Let's start with a reality check. You see, currently, consumers and then publics are no longer passive audiences. They are rather active audiences, in the sense that they use the technological platforms available to them to, one, perform fact checks on advertisements fed by them or fed to them by marketers and then organizations. They also use their social media platforms and other platforms available to them to challenge claims made by marketers and then organizations in their promotional messages, and they also challenge hypocrisy. Now, in the context or in this current setting, it's not just healthy that the consumers are active audiences. It's also very, very necessary that they perform these active activities.
Take the 2017 Pepsi ad of Jana, where the company tried to use imagery of social protest, that backlash, a lesson to ethical failure.
So in this context, I think the theory that best explains this is the situational theory propounded by James Grunig, where he posits that the type of situation at hand determines whether the people involved, that is the publics or consumers, are passive or active. Now, in case they are active, they go ahead and then generate a collective effort to act on the situation and then try and resolve it.
So in other words, public is active, alerts, and then communicators must treat them equally and not targets.
Take a moment. Cast your mind back to some few months ago online. Do you recall coming across a brand's content and you were like, what they are sincere be true? You were like, but what they actually project in real life and what they are projecting now, they don't relate. Were you compelled to void that out, or did you notice in the comment section people voicing their consent? If yes, that's what we called consumers holding brands accountable. That's the skepticism we've been discussing.
When organizations or companies communicate without ethics, they risk damaging trust and relationships from those affected, who are the consumers. Damaging trust and relationship ultimately renders the organization or the company irrelevant, in the sense that customers or consumers no longer engage with the organizations or the company. They do nothing to participate in the activities of the organization. Therefore, ethical communication is essential for credibility and fosters long-term relationship.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how intelligent are you?
9.5 on 10.
9 points what?
5 on 10.
9.5. Okay, Regine. 9.5. Yeah. Okay. So let me ask you a question.
Alright.
In 2015, September, an incident occurred in the United States. Can you guess what really happened?
Whoa, that's a tricky question. Can you give me any clues?
No. Try. Some of these. You take 9.5.
Nah.
Okay, let me give you a clue. So, it's related to a car brand.
Yeah, I got it. Volkswagen, right?
Yeah, Volkswagen. You know what happened?
Nah, I only heard there was a scandal about some emissions, something, but I don't really know into details.
Do you know that brand, they are really smart?
Really?
Yes, very, very smart. Like, smart.
What did they do?
Do you know that the car they produce or they manufacture, its emission rate is very high and it's illegal? And do you know what they did? Decided to install a software named Defeat Device. Do you know what that Defeat Device? You guess?
No.
Oh, Tesla. So wait, 9.5. Yes. No, what do they do? So when the officials come to test the emission of the car, they realize that it's normal, it's the normal legal rate. But with the Defeat Device, when the officials come to test the car, it activates its control mode, making it seem as though the car is up to the legal rate which cars are supposed to emit pollutants. But do you know that the car was emitting like excess pollutants, nitrogen oxide, which is very harmful to the human health? They thought they were being smart. Of course, I deemed them to be one of the smartest car brands, but they didn't use their smartness for a good cause. They thought maybe at the long run it will affect them, but here we are. They got caught.
Happened. So VW's problems definitely having an impact in the sense that there are growing concerns, fears across the auto industry. What happened at VW essentially was that they had this cheating device, a software called Defeat device that was intended to defeat emission tests. So in the labs, they would meet emission standards, but then in the real world, they would be belching out 10 to 40 times the legal limit. So now the European Union got into the scandal and is now urging all 28 member countries to start their own investigations. The European Commission spokeswoman saying that they need to have the full picture whether and how many vehicles certified in the EU were equipped with defeat devices. So this already threatening rivals such as BMW. We just had a report from a German magazine saying that their X3 SUVs had exceeded the European limit for air pollution. Now, the stock then plunged, but then shares did recover after the German magazine clarified that there was no indication that the car maker manipulated tests. It's still concerns are growing, fears are growing. The European automakers lobby group, the ACEA, though, shooting back, saying that there's no evidence that an industry-wide issue was taking place.
House cleaning already started. Martin Winterkorn stepping down. Who's set to replace him?
Matthias Müller is now becoming the front runner to succeed Martin Winterkorn as CEO. That's according to a source telling us that the head of Porsche is now the favorite. He enjoys the support of the family that controls VW as well as the automaker's influential labor leader. So the board meets today and they're expected to decide on the CEO. Of course, all of this after that huge $22 billion plunge in the stock, and sources now telling us that the head of developments for Audi and Porsche could also be next in line to be let go at the firm.
Seriously? I know, right? With what I just heard, I'm so angry. What's that? They weren't just unethical. They were doing illegal stuff. They didn't know that their emissions were affecting people. So because they wanted to profit. You're right. Oh, nah. But well, I think they suffered a huge loss of $13 billion. Of course. Which I'm happy about, because why would they go scot-free for damaging or putting people's life in danger? And at the end of it all, it ruined brand trust. The trust they were able to accumulate from their consumers for long years or many years, they just let it go to waste because of selfishness. True. Yeah, I'm happy that they lost that money.
I know, right? So as you were in their situation, would you have done such a thing?
Well, in the normal sense, the money making looks nice and great, but at the end of it all, when the people are not there, everyone dies or everyone is sick. Will you make that money? No.
So could it be that their PR practitioner didn't know that such a situation was going on? Yet, in addition to the example I gave earlier, there was an incident in Bahamas, 2017, April. Fire Festival was hyped online by influencers, making it look as though it was a luxurious event need to take place. Food was promised, famous artists, and also good place or good accommodation. But in reality, when the attendees came on that day, what they promised was not what they delivered. In the long run, they faced lots of backlash.
People who splurged on a pricey ticket for a so-called luxury concert didn't get what they expected. The Fire Festival in the Bahamas was supposed to be, quote, your secret hideaway in the Exumas. The event was put together by Fire Media and located in Grand Exuma, Bahamas. Rapper Ja Rule is a co-founder of the company. According to the festival's website, the tickets ranged in price from $450 to $49,000 apiece and promised guests a departure from the familiar. Angry ticket holders tweeted pictures of the subpar conditions of the luxury concert. One user tweeted a picture of a less than appetizing cheese sandwich. Another sent a picture of a vacant concierge and Fire Festival crew members being rough with guest luggage. The Bahamas Ministry of Tourism took to Twitter to issue an apology for the event. The bottom line, the Fire Festival was a flop.
These two cases we just made violates the TERS test, which is truthfulness, authenticity, respect, and social responsibility. With the tests, this test helps organizations evaluate their ethical messages.
So, a question to you, the audience. If these companies or marketers and then communicators of these examples we just made would have communicated truthfully earlier, what do you think would have changed in the consequences they faced?
Deceptive strategies may go viral, but integrity is what sustains and builds a brand.
Lately, consumers are very powerful. They are not just buyers, they're able to influence. And I mean, they're able to influence the perception and also the purchasing decisions of people. A single tweet by just the consumer can spark a whole lot of debate all over. I mean, it can even shake $1 billion brand. So here, I'll say that brands are supposed to be very particular. They should be really careful of what they do, because anything unethical is actually going to, bring their reputation to zero.
Thinking of a brand like Sika Designs Ghana, their campaigns aren't just product focused, they reflect values. When they said their product do not just reflect style, but reflect responsibility, that transparency won a lot of respect.
Their strategy aligns to the stakeholders' theory. Their communication doesn't only affect investors or the media, but rather people, anybody is being affected by the brand's action.
Is it the result? Deep loyalty, raw emotional connection.
Now, to you, the audience, which brand's value do you connect with and why? Is it about what they say or what they do?
Lately, it's not about what you say, but then how do you say it? Do you talk with people in mind, or you're rather speaking at the people? And this creates a difference between a message that fades over time and a message that people keep in their hearts for a long time.
Now, let's come to the internal side, precisely organization, where ethical communication often conflicts with business pressure, which has to do with the tight deadlines. Often, in organization, tight deadlines often make employees make hasty decisions in an organization, and also pressure from above management often pressure the employees to make decisions, and at the long run, the information that they put across is inaccurate.
Sometimes silence seems like a safer option than honesty when addressing sensitive issues. In PR, when organizations do not communicate effectively and choose to be silent, it results in backlashes or negative perception. There's a need for organizations to consider honesty when communicating with their audience.
Ethical lapses often comes from poor culture. That's where the theory of organizational communication comes in, where internal communication views external ethical behavior. So in an organization which lacks transparency, it is perceived as being stemmed from poor culture.
As Ghanaian business executive and former CEO of Esotigo, Lucy Quest once said, a company's strength lies in how it treats its people behind the scenes. The people behind the scenes are the employees.
To you, audience, what would you do if you are asked to publish something that is misleading? Are you going to speak up, or are you going to stay quiet?
Every communicator is a gatekeeper. Ethics starts with that. Every communicator should know what information to project to the audience, decide what information goes out to the audience, and how to present it.
In an instance where ethics is compared to success, here is a big question. Can you be both wildly successful and ethical in your communication?
Okay, some people see ethics as the roadblock to success, but I think
ethics is the very foundation for lasting success. Ethical communication leads to deeper connection with audience and drives success. Take Dow for instance, their Real Beauty campaign. It wasn't just about selling soap, but it represented women in a certain light that resonated with their consumers. Let's comment.
You see, let's not forget MTN Ghana's Wear For Me campaign, where during the 2020 pandemic era, like COVID-19 pandemic era, they run an emotionally grounded and value-based campaign. You see, where they aim to encourage Ghanaians to wear masks, which was drawing on family care, family values and their care.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's virtue ethics in play. Yeah. So doing what is right is not meaning something is easy, but then doing what aligns to the core brands or the core values of a particular brand.
In today's technological times, social media has made it easy for organizations to gain wider reach through content creation and trend. But most brands have become trend followers instead of focusing on the purpose for which they are on social media, which is value-driven communication. If you had to choose between a viral hit and a value-based message, what would you choose and why? To you, my audience.
Sustainable success isn't about trend. Rather, it is about trust.
So, on how important ethics is, I think it shouldn't be just a side note to them to which they choose to go to it anytime they want.
Exactly.
Rather, I think they should, or ethics in general should be embedded in the organization's DNA, which will ultimately shape every decision, every action, and every decision and actions the organization makes.
So it also includes regular training, clear guidelines, and leadership that works and talks.
Tools like the PRSA Codes of Ethics exist for a reason. Honesty, advocacy, loyalty, fairness, expertise, independence,
And storytelling with intention, balancing persuasion with responsibility.
To my lovely audience, if you're to lead a brand today, what are the ethical principles that will be non-negotiable to your brand or your team?
I think one important thing that PR practitioners and then marketers need to look at is the fact that when you lead with ethics, you don't just shape opinions, you influence culture as well.
Ethics isn't just limited to creativity, it is an essential ingredient in communication. Without ethics, the most creative campaign will fall out. Every message we share has an impact. We owe it to the audience to be authentic, respectful, and truthful when we communicate.
Let's redefine success, not just by reach, but by responsibility.
Because people are not just in for things that are perfect, things without faults, but rather things that are true and honest.
And when brands are honest and ethical, they don't just sell, they also inspire.
Okay, we can be the generation of communicators that rebuild trust.
In the end, ethical PR and marketing is essential and not optional. They are the bridge between meaningful message and between meaningful voice and value.